Good morning and welcome to this second keynote this morning. Let me share first my slides. Can they see my slide?
Yes, sir. It's showing.
Okay. So this morning I'm going to talk about the shift from an infrastructure first approach to data first modernization. And in this presentation, I'll cover the following. First, why the digital divide, where we see business separated by a technology gap where the winners are leapfrogging and sprinting and gaining the benefits of digital transformation while the rest of the pack are left behind. We'd like to know what made the winners win in their adoption of digital transformation. And after that, we'd like to talk about what did they do so that we could emulate or catch up with these winners. And in the end, I'll talk about why HPE can help. So the sad news is, despite the major investment in digital transformation, you can see the big amounts that are spent on the public cloud and the digital surge. The facts are a lot of companies are underperforming their efforts to adopt digital transformation. And of those, nearly half are slow in moving forward with their digital transformation projects. Well, what is the consequence of this? The digital divide or the transformation divide just gets wider and wider. In fact, 67% of CEOs, they feel their companies are losing ground to those winners who are sprinting ahead with their digital transformation. So what are they doing right? Let's take a look at that. The winners are writing a new playbook with next-gen operating models with these parameters. Along customer experience is king, and delivery of ever-expanding stream of services, and focused on data that is everywhere. Now, because of this focus on data, focus on using that data to deliver customer experiences and stream of services, innovation enables them to be agile or fast. And because of that, they're reaping the benefits of this initiative. What we want to know is, how do we enable this next-gen operating models with these parameters? What made them successful in adopting this? Turns out that we've been hearing this before, the value of data. To them, it's the life force activating the next-gen operating models. You see in the parameters in the next-gen operating model, their use of their data allows them to deliver rich experiences, and because of the access to data, anywhere it is in the organization, at the edge, in the data center, in a multi-cloud environment, it accelerates the decision velocity and allows them, using the same data, to provide or a funnel of streams of innovation. So the question is, how can we emulate these winners with their focus on data? Well, we have some questions that those who got left behind are asking. They have multi-generational IT landscape. They have aging applications, aging infrastructure. They have new apps and new infrastructure. So their question is, how do we fast forward, given that they have this limitation of a multi-generational IT landscape? Second question is their use of data. How can they put petabytes of data to work? That is the ability to open up, capture, and access but the difference is at digital speed. And how about deployments? How can they increase their freedom to deploy workloads and data? That is, if the data resides at the edge, how can they deploy it there, access it, capture data at the edge where it makes sense and allows them to maximize business outcomes? So these three things together are all related to the challenge around data. So the winners realize that you cannot really do digital transformation without a data-first modernization approach across your edge, data center, and the cloud. Those who got left behind are experiencing the following problems. Number one, siloed data. Second, because of that, data, the value to the business is trapped in those critical legacy systems. And another challenge is at the edge. They're generating data there, being created at the edge, but they're not doing anything about that data. And the other is some businesses are migrating their data to the public cloud before they can even use it. And this is interesting because I spoke to some customers who typically store their data, the first small amounts of data in the public cloud. But they get to a point at a certain capacity, certain volumes of access that they experience bill shock. Now they need to bring back that data in the public cloud, and then that's another bill shock. So we are limited because of the existing infrastructure by this multi-generational IT landscape of apps and infrastructure. And it gets in the way of data-first modernization. So how do we overcome this being siloed, closed, friction-filled environment, and where the edge is an afterthought if they even consider tapping the data at the edge? And some, in their effort to overcome this, they go to the public cloud. Turns out this is not a cure-all. What you just end up with is being locked into the cloud kingdom. And the sad part of that is when you get the bill shock because you move the data into the public cloud. Now it's big. The volume of access is exponential. And you wanted to repatriate it to the on-premise infrastructure, you get another bill shock, a double whammy. You keep it there, you continue to get your bill shock, but then you have to experience another bill shock just bringing it back. The public cloud is not a one-size-fits-all for businesses interested in making a success of digital transformation. So, we need to make a shift from an infrastructure-first approach to a data-first approach, where instead of focusing on the infra, we focus on the data and modernize the data. Instead of focusing on managing your silos of multi-gen IT, you transition to a unified service delivery that spreads across edge to cloud. And instead of just migrating processes to digital, you focus on delivering differentiated experiences. And instead of just giving your DevOps the velocity in provisioning apps, you give your business people the velocity to make decisions, which is based on their access and use of the data. And instead of just ceding control of your data to the different public cloud kingdoms, you need to take control of your data assets. There are 5 imperatives to make this a success. Some principles, like I already said this, data is your core asset. Do not cede it to the public cloud. Second, your data is everywhere, and it must be accessible at digital speed from its native location where it is. And if you need to move that data from an app's point of view, it should be frictionless. Imagine writing apps or code where you can access your data, even if your data moves from the edge, moves into the data center, and gets hosted in the public cloud somewhere. You don't need to rewrite your code just because the data moved somewhere else. Frictionless. Next. Data has rights and sovereignty. This means that we will curate who will access your data and how they will use it. It's not open to everybody. And you need a tool that will allow you to do this. Next, an echo of what I said a while ago, the public cloud is not the right home for all workloads and especially your data. What do we mean by this? A lot of customers, despite the years of public cloud growth, 70% of applications and their data are still on-prem. And some of those workloads that went to the public cloud are going back on-premise, getting repatriated. So what do we need now to do with your data, whether it's at the edge, in the data center, or even some of them still on the public cloud? We need to industrialize your data supply chain across these environments. And finally, we cannot succeed in a digital transformation effort if we have this fragmented, isolated operation. Instead, we need to transition to one operational model. That this model allows us to drive known performance and experience. Is this already happening? Are there customers actually winning the game of digital transformation because they focused on their data? Let me share with you some of our HPE customers that's winning big in this area. For example, FIS, because they focus on data-first modernization, they're able to deliver a unified view of data. That is the key capability they wanted to acquire. So they came up with a new data ecosystem that allows them to do this across 79 billion global financial transactions. How about Seagate, a manufacturing customer of HPE? Through the implementation of a real-time data analytics that looks at 15 million images generated daily, they were able to deliver a 300% ROI from manufacturing efficiency and quality. How about Sensac? Does data analytics for autonomous vehicles or self-driving cars. They generate hundreds of petabytes a day. And then they acquire this and feed this data to do 10,000 safety simulations per second, because the goal is to be able to save lives. in an environment of self-driving cars. And finally, with a word line, they end up with delivering faster fraud detection, again, using a unified point of control across 5.1 billion payment transactions globally. Now, this is the interesting question. How did they do it? They did it, not surprisingly, with Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, your edge-to-cloud company, powering data-first modernization to leap across the transformation divide. So the question is, how did HPE help these customers do the data-first modernization? We have a platform. It's called HPE GreenLake. It's a service, a consumption service from HPE, our edge-to-cloud platform. And this platform, which allows a consumption-based, pay-per-use, scalable platform, allows you to do three things. One, you can have your cloud your way, across your edge, your data center, and multi-cloud environment, using a unified experience across all of these environments. And second, we let you control your data. And lastly, with the help of HPE through HPE GreenLake, we can fast forward your multi-gen IT. So what do we mean by this? Let's go through each of the boxes. Your cloud, your way. HPE GreenLake, the edge-to-cloud platform, delivers a unified cloud experience to your apps and your data. And there's one operating model for IT to orchestrate your apps and your data across wherever that is, on the edge, co-locations, data centers, or multi-cloud. This simplified IT experience takes away the complexity of running your apps, your workload, and your use of your data. And everything as a service. HPE GreenLake is open and extensible, which means we could continue adding to our rich catalog of services, including third-party solutions. One of the focus of HPE GreenLake being an edge-to-cloud platform is data modernization. And finally, with HPE GreenLake, we deliver known performance and economics. Because the customer already has the rate cards for their consumption, they can predict what will it take them, what will it cost them to go to a certain level of performance and its associated cost ahead of time. Next one, you control your data through a tool deployed inside HPE GreenLake. We allow the industrialization of your data supply chain. We enable a unified data fabric that spreads across your edge, your data center, even your cloud, whether that's on-prem cloud or the public cloud. And this data fabric enables and empowers the analysis of this data, giving velocity to your business decisions. Another good thing is it minimizes data movement. Even if your data is at the edge and you want to do some analytics at the edge or in the data center, you don't have to duplicate copies of your data just to do analysis of that data. We have tools that allows you to do this, whether wherever your data is and wherever your analytics will run, minimizing data movement, saving you costs. And it embraces the edge. It allows you to collect, capture, aggregate, and analyze your data right there at the edge. The example of Seagate is a very good example where at the shop floor, they have implemented intelligent analytics. First, by putting in cameras that capture the images, it stores them 15 million images a day, and then an AI system looking at those images to capture if there is a defective or deviant component not placed in the right location or not there at all. And that happens at the edge. Protect your data rights for your data. So with this allows you to govern your data with full integrity across geos, which means because of the data fabric, unified data fabric that spreads across locations, geos, and jurisdictions, there is a security tool that allows you to give permissions to users with what they can do with their data and restrict them only with that. And the good news is there's no lock-in with HPE. There's no conflict of interest. We will never monetize the data that sits on our HPE GreenLake platform. And finally, with HPE GreenLake, you can modernize without compromise and fast forward your multi-gen IT. We can open up and capture the value of data trapped in your legacy systems or revitalize your data center assets, tapping our HPE financial services. And you can accelerate your journey. You can tap HPE's expertise through our HPE PointNext services with our global partners who are skilled in shaping your modernization approach and operationalize the proven methodologies and IPs. We have expertise. We know this. We have the deep knowledge and experience and culture of customer care. We can do this for you as well. So as a wrap up, you can enhance your digital transformation and leapfrog the winners by adopting the platform HPE GreenLake, your edge to cloud platform to power your data modernization. It delivers one operating model, a unified services experience, whether your data sits at the edge, at the data center, or somewhere in the public cloud, or even in your own on-premise private cloud. The second, it's open and extensible, which means you can add along the way more services around data modernization. But today we deliver data modernization services, application modernization, and of course, infrastructure modernization with a foundational security embedded in the platform. These are some of the services already available in HPE GreenLake Edge to Cloud platform. The Cloud Native IS, which is a major pain for many customers, duplicating the environment of the public cloud. With HPE GreenLake, you can do that. Replicate your public cloud environment on-prem because we have that Cloud Native IS service. We have the tools for your data science folks and DevOps folks to write code to enable AI. And with a unified data and analytics platform, with automated workflow, this makes it easier for your teams, for your data teams, data scientist teams, DevOps, to develop and deploy applications that use your data. And because it's extensible, we can integrate as part of our third-party services. In fact, part of HPE GreenLake is an application portfolio of third-party providers. All of these capabilities allow you to industrialize your data supply chain, which means if your data is coming from the edge, we can bring it to your data center or location and bring it to the public cloud and bring it back, repatriate back to the data center and run workloads or apps wherever the data is, even if you need your data to move from one location to the other. So the question now next is, where do you start? You can start in any of these three areas. You can lay down the foundation through secure connectivity, especially now that Wi-Fi 6 is already here. Second, you can start building a cloud-native environment, an environment that's identical to the public cloud. And finally, data-first modernization, focusing on your data. Through the tools, through the capabilities of HPE GreenLake, we can unlock valuable data trapped in your isolated legacy systems and industrialize your data supply chain and capitalize on your data. Exactly what some of our customers today, right there in the forefront, the winners in digital transformation are doing. So your edge to cloud future starts today with HPE. So please talk to us. Thank you very much.